that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for?
Ms. St. James's story is a shocking tale of unexpected revelations and deep family secrets. For 33 years, she believed she was a daddy's girl until her father dropped a bombshell after an argument, claiming she wasn't his daughter. Talk about a devastating moment.
Miss St. James, you claim for the first 33 years of your life you were a daddy's girl. But just 6 months ago, after an argument, your father dropped a bomb on you and said, "You are not my daughter." You and your brother have opened a case to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. St. James recounts how she wrote her father a heartfelt letter expressing her disappointment in his absence from her and her children's lives. His response was nothing short of shattering. He told her she wasn't his biological daughter. This was the first time she ever heard of any paternity doubt.
What happened 6 months ago?
I wrote my dad a letter right before Christmas, a couple weeks before Christmas, just telling him how I felt about him not being in his grandchildren's lives and how he's not being the father that we need since we lost our mother at a young age. And that was his response, is the reason why.
Mr. Esau admits he has always believed Miss St. James wasn't his biological daughter, but never found the right moment to tell her. For 33 years, he kept this secret, causing immense stress and anxiety for Miss St. James when it finally came out. Can you imagine living with such uncertainty?
What happened, Mr. Esau? How did this all start?
6 months ago. It's something that I've always wanted to talk to her about and tell her, you know, and it just never was the right time.
Is it your testimony that for 33 years you have known that Miss St. James was not your biological daughter?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. St. James describes the last 6 months as pure hell. She talks about the daily anxiety, weight loss, and the struggle of raising her autistic son while dealing with this emotional turmoil. Her pain is palpable, and it's heart-wrenching to hear.
Tell the court, what has this 6 months been like?
I've been throwing up every day. I have anxiety. I have stress. I have an autistic son that I'm trying to raise. I've been just, ever since, I can't eat. I'm losing weight. I'm just torn apart. He's just trying to kill me, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna die.
Judge Lake delves into the history between Mr. Esau and Ms. St. James's mother. Their relationship started when they were young, and although there were doubts about the paternity early on, they continued their relationship and even got married. This makes the current revelation even more complicated.
From the beginning, she transferred into the school that I was going to. I seen her that morning, and you know, she looked good. So I'm like, well, you know, everybody's kind of like, wow, who's that? And I asked her if she wanted to go to the party, and she said yes. Picked her up, and you know, we, you know, that's when I first had sex, and it just kind of went on from there.
Ms. St. James's mother and grandmother both had discussions about the timeline of conception, which added to the doubts. Despite these doubts, Mr. Esau continued to be a father figure in Ms. St. James's life. The family dynamics here are incredibly complex.
Her mom found out she was pregnant. Were you told?
She told me yes.
And so, take me back to that time.
Basically, she told me she was pregnant, and I'm like, okay. You know, you're 18, you're like, okay, like, wow. You know, you don't really know how to really react, but I was like, okay, wow, she's pregnant. And it wasn't until the doctor told her how far along she was, and doing the math, it was, you know, before me.
Ms. St. James's brother, KJ, also shares his perspective, expressing how this revelation feels like an attack on their family, possibly stemming from anger due to past disputes. He emphasizes that he always believed Ms. St. James was his full sister. This adds another layer of emotional complexity to the case.
Through my whole life, I thought that Jasmine was my sister. We were the only ones that came from my mom and him, so that's all I've known, him being my father. So to get this news like this is just, you know, it's just it's hurting as far as, you know, the allegations put upon my mother.
Miss St. James recalls a phony call from her father in 2009 when he hinted at not being her biological father. Although he later retracted the statement, this incident planted a seed of doubt that has now grown into a full-blown crisis. This incident shows how deep-seated these doubts have been.
That Mr. Esau, your father is not your sister's biological father.
Well, my dad did call me one time in 2009. He had a little liquor in him, and he was crying, and he said that Jasmine might not be his.
And what did you say?
Oh, I said, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Called him back and told him.
Finally, Judge Lake prepares to read the DNA results. The tension in the courtroom is palpable as everyone awaits the truth. Ms. St. James hopes for clarity and resolution after months of emotional turmoil. The anticipation is at an all-time high as the court prepares to reveal the life-changing results.
Mr. Esau,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are not the father.
Can I give her a hug?
That's I can accept it.
And I'm sorry I waited so long. I mean, I've always taken responsibility for that talking to her, of not telling her. That was her right to know. And I should have told her, she should have been told a long time ago, not when she's 33 years old.
Mr. Thompson and Miss Taylor's story is one for the books. These two have been through a whirlwind of emotions over the years. Miss Taylor claims that Mr. Thompson is not the father of her 18-year-old daughter, Melinda Turner. But wait, it gets juicier because Mr. Thompson has been searching for Melinda for 14 years, convinced she's his daughter.
Miss Taylor, you are here to prove to your ex, Mr. Thompson, that he is not your 18-year-old daughter's father. You say he's accusing you of disappearing and hiding your daughter, Miss Turner, for 14 years. But you claim you kept her away because you are certain he is not her father.
Miss Taylor starts off by explaining why she kept her daughter away from Mr. Thompson. She mentions that his lifestyle at the time wasn't suitable for her daughter. Also, Miss Taylor's mother had a big say in keeping Mr. Thompson away, and when Miss Taylor came back home, Mr. Thompson had disappeared. Talk about drama.
First off, the lifestyle that Mr. Thompson was living at the time, I really didn't want that for my daughter. And my mother had my daughter while I was going through something. And I spoke with my mother about him coming to see her. And my mother said no, she would let me handle it when I got back.
Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, insists he knew about the pregnancy and was involved in it until Miss Taylor disappeared. He had no clue where she went and no information about the baby. Can you imagine not knowing if your child is a boy or a girl? That's the situation Mr. Thompson was in. It's mind-blowing.
Mr. Thompson, did you know Miss Taylor was pregnant?
Yes.
Were you involved in the pregnancy?
Yes.
You were. In which way?
She was pregnant 3 months. We were still together. And then that's when, she went her way and I went mine. But she just up and disappeared.
So
I moved to another state.
Did you move to another state before or after you had the baby?
After.
Miss Taylor drops a bombshell revealing she was having an affair with a married man before meeting Mr. Thompson. This revelation adds a whole new layer of complexity. She strongly believes the married man could be her daughter's father. And guys, it gets even crazier when she admits to telling her daughter that Mr. Thompson is her father.
During this time, before I met Mr. Thompson, I was having an affair with a married man. And honestly, I didn't know if it was the married man's child or Mr. Thompson's child.
This other man, the man you were dating, you're saying that child was by him?
I have strong feelings that the married man is my daughter's father.
When Melinda Turner finally enters the courtroom, it's emotional. She shares how in 2012, her mother told her Mr. Thompson was her father and they formed a relationship. But just last week, she learned there might be another potential father. Imagine thinking you know who your dad is, only to have that ripped away.
Well, in 2012, my mom informed me that Mr. Thompson was my biological father. And so I kind of formed a relationship with him from then on.
Before 2012, who did you believe your father was?
I didn't have one.
Melinda expresses how hurtful it was growing up without a father. She missed having both parents at her events and felt the void deeply. You can't help but feel for her. She points out that if her mom wanted to protect her, she should have been honest from the beginning. Miss Taylor acknowledges this and apologizes, but the damage is done.
And then 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, they tell you that may not be, that it's almost like getting ripped from you. What did you feel like in that moment?
I was very hurt because I formed a relationship with Mr. Thompson, and then to hear that there could be another guy, if he's not my father, then I have this relationship with somebody that I don't really even know like that.
Mr. Thompson is heartbroken, as he always believed Melinda was his daughter. He shares how he told his other children that Melinda was their sister. The bond they formed is now hanging in the balance, and guys, you can see how much this is tearing everyone apart.
I think me trying to protect her, what I'm getting from all of this is that I hurt her more than anything. That's what I'm seeing. And I want for my daughter to find whatever peace that she's trying to find.
And I have to come to court to find out who my father is.
Finally, the DNA results are in and the courtroom is tense. Judge Lake is about to read the results, and you can feel the suspense in the air. Will Mr. Thompson be confirmed as Melinda's biological father, or is there another twist in this emotional tale? The stakes couldn't be higher.
Mr. Thompson, you are not her father. I'm so sorry. Miss Taylor, do you know where the man that you say would be the other possibility? Do you know where he is?
Yes.
You do.
Ms. Dandridge's story is a heart-wrenching tale of searching for her biological father. After years of uncertainty, she believes she has finally found him. She reveals to Judge Lake that she recently got a name, Joseph Lester Sigmund, and is now ready to meet him for the first time. Talk about nerve-wracking.
You say you are here to determine if you finally found your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
You believe is that man, though you've never laid eyes on him before.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dandridge shares how she discovered adoption papers when she was just a child. She thought her sister's dad was her father until she stumbled upon the truth. Can you imagine the shock of finding out your dad isn't who you thought he was? Her mother was never forthcoming about her biological father, adding to her confusion.
No, ma'am, I didn't. I was raised to believe that my sister's dad was my dad. I was like around 9 or 12. I was old enough to know how to read. When I found my dad wasn't my dad that I believed was my dad.
You found adoption papers indicating that the man you thought was your father had in fact adopted you.
Yes, ma'am.
Fast forward to a few months ago, Ms. Dandridge posted on Facebook seeking information about her father. The response she got from her mother was anything but pleasant, but she finally received the name, Joseph Lester Sigmund. She created a Facebook page to find him, and within a week, she had 300 followers helping her. Talk about determination.
Roughly 3 months ago, I posted on Facebook, this status may hurt some people's feelings, but I really want to know who my dad is. And my mom, she got on there and told me that I was a liar and that I never asked who my dad was and just threw his name at me. And then after she gave me that name, she told me,
so you got a name?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dandridge connected with a woman named Sabrina who helped her find Mr. Sigmund's family. Though initially, his family told her to look elsewhere, she received a call from a North Carolina number. It was Joseph Sigmund himself, and he confirmed knowing her mother. This was a huge breakthrough.
And messaged me names or family members that could have been related to Joseph Sigmund. A week into my search, a lady named Sabrina messaged me and she says, here, I found his mom and his brother. You should call them to see if that's really who it is. And
the moment finally arrives and Mr. Sigmund enters the courtroom. The emotions are high as they meet for the first time. Mr. Sigmund explains his shock because he was told he was sterile. He reminisces about his relationship with Ms. Dandridge's mother in Florida, describing their time together in vivid detail.
Mr. Sigmund, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful.
I cannot believe you're standing in front of my face.
Can you describe for the court your initial reaction?
I was in shock because I was told when I was younger I was sterile, that I couldn't have kids.
Mr. Sigmund admits he was in trouble with the law and had to leave Florida, never knowing about the pregnancy. He expresses doubts about being the father due to his belief in his sterility and the possibility of Ms. Dandridge's mother being with other men. Ms. Dandridge is hoping he is her dad, as she feels a huge void in her life.
So did you ever know that her mother was pregnant?
No, I did not have a clue until she called me and told me. I have doubts because I was told I was sterile. You know, plus sometimes during the weekends she went to her mother's on the weekends.
Mr. Sigmund shares his hopes, stating he never had children and now sees Ms. Dandridge as his new hope. He feels a connection and believes she resembles his family members. The court is about to reveal the DNA results, and you can feel the tension in the air. Will Mr. Sigmund be confirmed as her father? The suspense is killing us.
Mr. Sigmund, what are you hoping for today?
I've never had nothing my whole life. I've never been married.
Your new hope?
Yeah, we're just alike. She looks like my sister. When I was younger, she looks like one of my nieces. She's got my cheekbones, my jaw face, she got my eyes.
The results are prepared and Judge Lake is ready to read them. Ms. Dandridge and Mr. Sigmund are both emotional, anticipating the outcome. Will this be the moment that fills the void in Ms. Dandridge's heart, or will it bring more heartbreak? The stakes are incredibly high.
Let's not wait any longer. Let's go to the results. Jerome, the results, please. Thank you. I know this will be very emotional for you both either way. If you'd like to sit down, Ms. Dandridge. All right. DNA Diagnostics has prepared these results, and they are as follows.
Judge Lake reads the results and the courtroom holds its breath. What follows is a moment of intense emotion. This case has been a roller coaster of hope and despair, and the final revelation is life-changing. Stay tuned to see how this crazy, devastating moment unfolds on Paternity Court.
Mr. Sigmund, you are not her father. Sit her down, Mr. Sigmund. Just put her down.
There's no way I've gone through too much. He was supposed to be my dad.
Ms. Miller and Mr. Rasmussen's case is a heart-wrenching saga of love, betrayal, and uncertainty. Ms. Miller is adamant that Mr. Rasmussen is not the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee, while Mr. Rasmussen passionately believes he is. This emotional roller coaster starts with Ms. Miller claiming Mr. Rasmussen only wants custody for financial benefits.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test, all of which have been denied.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rasmussen, however, drives 160 miles every other weekend to see Zaylee. He insists that his commitment is about love and not money. Despite their rocky relationship and infidelity, he believes Zaylee is his daughter and has been there since day one. Talk about dedication.
The real reason Ms. Miller is denying you're Zaylee's father is because she hates you. You say you've been there for your daughter her entire life, and you're here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor. She just doesn't want me to have visitation. I drive 160 miles every other weekend just to pick up my daughter and drop her off.
Ms. Miller argues that Zaylee was conceived while Mr. Rasmussen was in another state. She admits to being with another man during that time. This claim creates a tangled web of doubts and conflicting timelines, making the case even more complicated.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to me why.
When she was conceived in March of 2011. He wasn't even in the same state. He was in Vegas. And at that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me.
Mr. Rasmussen recalls being fully involved during the pregnancy and birth. He vividly describes rushing to the hospital through snow-covered roads, beating Ms. Miller there, and being present throughout the birth. His story is filled with passion and commitment. Can you imagine the determination?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I went up to my manager, my immediate supervisor, said, "Hey, I gotta go. My girlfriend's in labor." I went home, quickly changed my clothes, and I drove about 45 miles through a winded, wooded road in Wisconsin in December, mind you, so it's about a foot of snow on the ground.
Ms. Miller disputes Mr. Rasmussen's account, stating he was distant and uninvolved. She reveals that the more Zaylee grew, the more she saw features of the other man. Despite these doubts, Mr. Rasmussen signed the birth certificate and continued to fight for his rights as a father. This is a case of emotions running high.
How do you remember it?
After she was born, he was gone. He ran out of the room. I didn't see him for 20 minutes after that. While I was in labor, he was sitting on one of those hospital cot beds on his computer in the corner, not paying attention to me, in his own little bubble.
Despite Ms. Miller's doubts, Mr. Rasmussen maintained his involvement, undergoing a strict visitation process. He cherishes every moment with Zaylee, making memories despite financial and emotional challenges. His bond with Zaylee is undeniable and heartfelt.
I'm not even quite sure. After we broke up, he changed his number, he moved, he pretty much disappeared. I have tried to find him, I have tried to get a hold of him, and I can't find him.
But you keep saying Mr. Rasmussen cheated, he did this, he did that. And as wrong as that may be, you also slept with somebody else.
We weren't even dating.
Judge Lake questions why Ms. Miller kept the potential paternity issue a secret for so long. Ms. Miller admits noticing more features of the other man as Zaylee grew. This revelation leads to a tense moment as both parties confront the harsh realities of their situation. Drama unfolds.
Why was it that you were keeping this information so close to your hip? until 5-6 months after Zaylee was born?
The more she grew up, the more I started noticing more of her features, the more she started looking like the other guy.
She looks exactly like I did when I was 3 years old. I have a picture of me when I was 3 and a picture of her from just the other day.
Let me see that.
The moment of truth arrives as Judge Lake prepares to read the DNA results. The tension in the courtroom is palpable. Mr. Rasmussen expresses his hope and fear, knowing that the results will change his life forever. The anticipation is almost unbearable.
So, Mr. Rasmussen, let me ask you, are you prepared? Have you prepared yourself either way? If this child is my biological child or if she isn't, have you thought about both alternatives?
In a sense, yes. If it goes the way I'm hoping and I know in my heart that it will, that she is mine.
As Judge Lake opens the envelope, the stakes couldn't be higher. The entire courtroom holds its breath, waiting for the life-changing revelation. The episode ends with an emotional climax, leaving everyone on the edge of their seats. What a dramatic conclusion.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you. What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for?